In this video, I'm going to work a few rational expression problems for you, just so you'll have some extra examples to look at. So if you remember from class, I went over 3 basic steps to doing rational expression problems. First, you should always factor your entire problem completely. Second, you should find the restrictions if the directions tell you to. And third, you apply whatever fraction rule is given to you in the problem. Most important thing though is if you're asked to find restrictions, make sure to find those before simplifying the fraction. So let's look at a few examples. So this first one says simplify and give any restrictions on the variable. So in the first example, we have 25x squared minus 36y squared over 10x squared plus 3xy minus 18y squared. So first we factor the top and bottom. So the top is a difference of squares, and it's going to factor as 5x minus 6y times 5x plus 6y. And on the bottom, we have a trinomial, and we can't factor out a common factor because 10, 3, and 18 have nothing in common. So we know this trinomial is just going to have 2 factors. And since I eventually want to simplify this, let me go ahead and guess that the first terms in each of my factors should be 5x and 2x. Because eventually I'm going to want one of these factors to cancel on the top and bottom. And then we want to think about how can we break up negative 18y squared so that when we multiply those factors back out, we get positive 3xy in the middle. So again, I'm going to go ahead and guess that I should use the numbers 6y and 3y because I want a 6y somewhere in my factors, and so I'm going to put that with the 5 and see how that works out. So we have 6y, 3y, and now you see we have 15 times 3 is equal to, 5 times 3 is equal to 15, and then 6 times 2 is 12, so 15 minus 12 would give us 3, so we must have minus here, plus here. Alright, so that's our fully factored form. Now the restrictions are going to be if we set each of these factors equal to 0, so let's see what we can do here. Actually, let's not worry about the restrictions for these. Yeah, because your examples in class had 1 variable, so we won't worry about restrictions for these. Or, I tell you what, no, we'll still do restrictions, but I'll get rid of the second variable. Okay, that's what I get for not working these out ahead of time. So let's just erase all of the y's in the problem, and then we'll be able to work it. Okay, so then for my restrictions, I want 5x minus 6 is equal to 0, and so 5x is equal to 6, so x is equal to 6 over 5. And we also have 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, so we have 2x is equal to negative 3, and x is equal to negative 3 over 2. So these are your 2 restrictions. X is equal to 6 over 5 and negative 3 over 2, or you could say not equals. So those are your restrictions. So now let's go through and actually simplify this fraction. So I see a 5x minus 6 on the top, 5x minus 6 on the bottom. So my simplified fraction is 5x plus 6 over 2x plus 3. All right, in this next example, I should probably get rid of the b's as well because I won't be able to do the restrictions with that. So let's write it like this. Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky because of the way it's written, but maybe I can combine these like terms on the top first. So the negative 1 and the positive 1 will cancel out, and so I have 4a squared minus 2a over 2a plus 1 squared minus 1. So I think I'm going to have to FOIL the bottom out. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll get 4a squared plus 4a plus 1 minus 1. So those negative 1's are going to cancel. So we have 4a squared minus 2a all over 4a squared plus 4a. All right, so let's go ahead and put this in fully factored form. So the best I can do on these is just factor out a greatest common factor. So I factor out the common factor of 2a on the top, and I'm left with 2a minus 1. And on the bottom, I have 4a is my common factor, and I'm left with 2a plus 1. All right, so now let me find my restrictions. So the first factor I can set equal to 0 is 4a, and so 4a equals 0 means a is equal to 0, and then I have 2a plus 1 is equal to 0, so 2a equals negative 1, and so a is negative 1/2. So the restrictions are a not equal to 0 and negative 1/2. So final step in this one, let's just see if there's any common factors that we can cancel on the top and bottom. And 2 and 4 share a common factor of 2, so we'll cancel 2 and 4 and be left with a 2, and the 2a's cancel as well. So our final answer for this one will be 2a minus 1 over 2 times 2a plus 1, which if you distribute the 2 back in here will give us 2a minus 1 over 4a plus 2. Okay, in these next couple of examples, we're going to work on multiplying fractions, or multiplying rational expressions.